Folks, welcome to an all new So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Friday episode. You have allegedly had Thanksgiving. I'm recording this on Thanksgiving, so hopefully your Thanksgiving was wonderful, that you spent it with family and friends, or maybe you just spent it with yourself and you had a bunch of food and all of the goodness and the great things happened for you on Thanksgiving. And now you're back with us here today, or maybe you're listening to this next week or over the weekend, but I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 14, Episode 2 recap. We'll talk about a couple of other things in the beginning, but I hope are you guys good? Are you good? Are you ready to listen? This is just a warm up for Christmas and Hanukkah and all of the other things that we have coming up in December. And then I am being told that it's going to be a new year. We're a month away from the end of the year. Holy mother of God, this went quick. Yeah, that's it. I'm in New York. My sinuses exploded. And thankfully, I got this Sudafed is helping. I've still managed to go out and do things and did a lot of walking and get rest, but my voice might be a little raspy. There's a lot of drainage going on in my throat, which is making me cough a lot. But I'm used to it. Allegedly, I'm getting my sinus surgery at the beginning of January. It was supposed to be in November, and they couldn't make it work. And then I couldn't you can't fly for 3 weeks once you get this surgery. So it wasn't going to line up for me to be able to do in Thanksgiving. And then in December was going to be tough because I have to do the Jeff Lewis live show at the Brea Improv, which is going to be a lot of fun. We already started planning that, and that seems like it's going to be a blast. So it looks like it's going to be the first week of January. And I can't wait to potentially not deal with sinus issues or just less sinus issues. Anytime I travel, it is just hit or miss if my whole, it feels so shitty. Anywho, happy Thanksgiving day after. What is the leftover situation like at your place? Are you making the big sandwiches where you put the stuffing and the cranberry sauce and the turkey? God, that was my favorite. And then you put a little green bean casserole on the side, and then whatever dessert is there. My mom used to make this great pumpkin cake, which I think Maritza has the recipe for, and she makes it as well now. Oh, it was so good. And then my ex used to make this meat stuffing, and my mom got the recipe for that, and she would make the meat stuffing as well. Man, I miss that meat stuffing. Man, so much good food, so little time. And I'm trying not to gorge my feelings away like I do every year or just every day. But yeah, it's been good so far. Anyways, this is 12:44 p.m. in New York time, 9:40. Not that you need to know the time, but I'm here working with you guys. We got to talk about this episode of Beverly Hills. We had a strong first episode, and I think the second episode really kind of keys into the fact that I keep using the word insidious. There's an insidiousness that has taken hold in Beverly Hills, and I think it's always been there, but now we have people that usually have not spoken up, or they've spoken up, but just in other long-winded monologues, but now they're speaking up with directed anger towards that bitch Kyle! Kyle Richards is a bitch! Dorit really going off on Kyle. And then obviously that PK scene at the very end of this episode was talk about insidiousness. PK, I want my woman barefoot and pregnant. Can't be more successful than me or Boy George. Truly, this man seems like he deserves to be in the 1940s or wants to be in the 1940s. Hey, bud. Women's Lib called. They'd like a word, PK. I'm a hot single guy. It's me, PK, looking to get my dick wet. Yeah! He's going to have a brutal re-entry to the dating scene. Also, at this point, how much is PK truly worth? You know he has kids from one of his other marriages. He has the 2 kids with Dorit. He's had 3 marriages so far. And obviously, I think he's had certain financial issues. I know he had gambling issues, allegedly. These are all kind of well documented if you want to go do a Google search. So there are a lot of things that I even wonder financially. But there's a certain type of person, right? Have you ever been friends or acquaintances with rich people, and they treat marriages very different than a lot of us treat marriage. It's very transactional. It's like I always said this, like with big celebrities. Like, do you ever wonder about Jay-Z and Beyonce? Do they ever just sit in bed and they're like, hey, we're going to binge Stranger Things all day and just order Mickey D's and just binge? Like, do they have those moments like we are able to all have in our normie relationships where you're just lazy together? Like, because it just feels so many, like, especially that last scene clues you in to it just feels so transactional. And it feels like it's the woman's onus to just like, hey, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with I woke up and I just don't really like you anymore. It's so weird. It is so weird. I just keep thinking about that. And to me, I've never been a PK apologist, but I've enjoyed PK just because of his accent and that he also kind of looked like a baked potato with everything on it. I don't know. Before we get too far into this, I want to thank Juliana Carroza, who took the notes on Beverly Hills. She started back up with me last week, and my God, did it make my job so much easier and better. And I told her not to rush, but she's still like, God, I mean, she's like the Flash. She was getting this stuff done a day before Thanksgiving. And Juliana, if you're listening, which I know, I just appreciate you so much. It is so much easier to let my mind go to silly scenarios and make up little conversations in my head when I have like kind of a script to work off of. Because the other ones, if you notice, it's literally me just like pausing a scene, watching it, pausing the podcast, watching it. It's a real weird system of working. And someday they'll invent some sort of AI to help me with this. But until then, I mean, I just got to, Juliet, so happy Thanksgiving to you most of all. Also, I was just thinking, this is kind of a gross thought. I just wanted to give a special shout out to all the toilets out there. I mean, is Thanksgiving the worst day for toilets? Like, if it was a Pixar film and all the toilets had personalities, do you think Thanksgiving is the day that they dread the most? Like, they're doing the heavy lifting. Like, all the times we're scrolling on our phones, we're literally on a toilet after a Thanksgiving meal. And I know that's gross to think about, but we're adults here. We're baddies. We understand how poo-poo pee-pee works, right? It's me, PK, on the toilet looking at memes. Talking about me being a cold-hearted stud who wants to hook up with PK. Okay, I wanted to talk about a couple of other things. We'll go into further detail about about one of these stories, either in the Salt Lake recap, which I'm hoping to have out on Saturday, because my God, that Salt Lake episode, great silly episode. And then that last scene, which we were warned about with Mary and her son, Robert Jr., truly was, it's another example of why I truly love reality television. I love the bizarreness, but I love the serious conversations. I'm holding space with that serious conversation. It really was just this horrendously sad conversation between her and her son and his drug abuse. And there are so many elements that get brought up within that conversation that I can't wait to dive into. And it just goes to show you how hard life can be for some of us, for all of us at certain points, right? But sometimes it's just all how we're wired sometimes, and our feeling being on this earth, and that's why I always say everybody thinks of these celebrities and these reality stars as aspirational, and I always push back on that, because you see that all of the fucking clothes and mannequins in Mary's closet doesn't give her the one thing that she truly wants, and that is for her son to be okay, right? And that, to me, is not aspirational, but we recognize ourselves in there. We see our own struggles in there. And I thought Salt Lake, what's hard though? Salt Lake, it's like that hard balance though. Like, they left that scene for the very end. And they left the PK Dorit scene for the very end of these episodes, because it's so hard when a show like Salt Lake is so goofy in the best ways, then it's hard to all of a sudden insert one of the realest scenes that we've seen on Real Housewives in any of the iterations, right? I mean, even think about Kim Richards and her dealing with drug and alcohol abuse. We've not even had that serious of a conversation. We've had conversations, but to that degree. And it's one of those things that I almost challenge. I always hope and I ask, and if there's any housewives listening to this right now, turn it off. This isn't going to be good for any of you. Even if you think it's funny for a second, you're not going to like something I say. I found out the hard way from a couple of housewives, so just do yourself a favor. This is just for us. This is just for me and you guys out there. No housewives allowed here. But it is a challenge to housewives. It's like a gauntlet thrown down of like, fuck Alibaba. This is real, right? And it fucking makes the hair on your arms or your legs or your pits, wherever the hair is, it makes it stand up. You're like, holy shit, I just saw something incredibly real. And it stayed with me. Like I'm still thinking about that scene a day later. And to me, that's a challenge to all the housewives, is share your real shit. I'm telling you, when you share your real shit, the audience is going to be there with you. They're going to be more empathetic. We saw that in Shannon Beador's case as well, which leads to something that I wanted to speak about as well, and that is how Johnny J and Alexis Fun Lexi Bellino can't buy a fucking clue to save their life. So I did on last week's OC recap saying that Alexis Bellino was like, the truth will come out in less than 7 days. The truth will come out. Well, the truth is, quote unquote, starting to come out because Johnny J, John Jansen Bellino, sat down with Entertainment Tonight's Bryce Sanders, who I love, who I think is excellent at his job. Truly, I study people like this. And did a sit-down interview, and I got to tell you, I got bored halfway through the interview. We'll recap it probably at some point this weekend. But there was a lot of information. But just in the fucking who's thinking about the release of this? Oh, yeah. Release it the day before Thanksgiving. Top notch. Good stuff. Yeah, people are in a place to want to hear shit like that. And then Alexis Bellino posted today on Thanksgiving, they're like, so proud of my Johnny J, and put the receipts of like how much he had spent on Shannon at a certain point. Guys, I'm sorry, but I think a lot of us have moved on. Do I think that they both spent money on each other? Yes. Am I happy Shannon settled with John? Sure. Yeah, I'm good. But that doesn't do shit. It's not like I'm like, oh, Alexis and John, solid people all of a sudden. Like, it just made me more sad for them. And it really made me sad for Alexis. And it's like, Alexis, you chose to post that on Thanksgiving? You have a family, dude. Like, spend time with them. Save it for the day after Thanksgiving. Hell, save it for Christmas. If that's coming on Thanksgiving, I can't wait to see. Like, I just sometimes feel like the myopic vision, they get tunnel vision at some point and just focus on all the wrong things. Like, to me, even aside from all the information, the pearls John Jansen was dropping, I just kept thinking, did nobody think this out at all? Did nobody think that this was the time to, what do you do? What are you doing? What are you doing? Whose mind did this change about anything? It just made you look weaker and more pathetic. And there was good information in there, but it's information that it's like, guys, like I keep saying, this never was the Real Housewives of John Jansen. It was the Real Housewives of Orange County. And Shannon's been there 10 years. Alexis fumbled a major opportunity. And anytime, even Tamara was giving Alexis advice saying, don't just be on here to defend him, and that's all she did. I don't think anybody won the season, but Shannon definitely walked out of there with her head held high, and that's what happens when you accept responsibility for what you did. Did she accept all the not enough responsibility to make Alexis and John happy, but I'm like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get a spin-off? What is it going to take to make you stop? Do you want Shannon to not be asked back? What is going to make you happy? And I don't know, those things, and I'm not an empath, but I do feel things very deeply. I'm a theater kid. I do feel things very deeply, and it just makes me sad for them, right? It makes me sad. It's like, okay, you sat down with Entertainment Tonight. And by the way, Bryce Sanders, I saw some comments of like, well, how dare he take this interview? You guys, that's how shit works. First off, Bryce is not probably in charge of who he gets and wants to interview, right? But he's a reporter for Entertainment Tonight. That's a good interview to get. And, I mean, Bryce has his own opinions on things, but he's a reporter for Entertainment Tonight. You got to take those stories. And that's a quote unquote exclusive, even if we kind of laugh about it because it's John Jansen. It's an exclusive with new information. But I just thought overall, whoever's repping Alexis and John right now, I just feel like you guys are missing the plot over there. You're missing the plot. I'd rather see you guys do staged Heidi and Spencer Pratt photos at a pumpkin patch or giving back to some sort of OC community. Fuck. I mean, pass out meals from the quiet women to the less fortunate. But I don't care anymore. Like, we'll go over it, sure, but I didn't even post it on my Instagram because I'm like, I'd rather make fun of the Macy Thanksgiving Day parade and the floats, which I got to see some of them being blown up yesterday, and that was pretty cool. So that was a story that came out. You can see it on Instagram if you want, or you can go to Entertainment Tonight and see the Bryce Sanders interview, which I said, Bryce, I think, is one of the best to do it. And you got to have a layer of professionalism to that I know I have. And sometimes I get shit for why didn't you go harder? You guys got to realize the PR of it all. There's only certain things you get approved to ask. People like Entertainment Tonight, they're huge media outlets. So you can go further in those interviews than you can on a podcast, unless you're like Nick Viall, Heather McDonald. There's a couple that have reached that status where they can usually do an interview without restrictions. Listen, that's the goal someday, right? That is the goal. But we're not there yet. So you have to play within a certain amount of rules. So those interviews are good. I just feel like John even just made himself even look worse. It's like, dude, you just don't seem to get it. And you do seem like you love being in the public eye, which is, if you study Housewives, one of the parts of the interview that really frustrated me, he was talking about when Shannon wanted him to be on when they were dating. He said, I looked into it, I did my due diligence, my research, and I decided I didn't want to do it. But then Shannon asked me, what? You didn't fucking do enough due diligence, dude. Did you do your research enough to know how this shit goes, especially for the men of Housewives? And then especially when Alexis wanted to come back on, where the fuck was your due diligence then? Did anybody weigh out the options? Honestly, did anybody weigh out? I mean, it really infuriates me. Nobody's weighing out the options there. Of course, you want to say best case scenario, but worst case scenario, you make Alexis even look worse on her grand return because of you. And it just goes to show what I speculate to be a gigantic ego, which housewives have, but house husbands don't deserve that ego. We see that with PK in this episode of Beverly Hills. The ego, it's me, single PK. Smell my fingers, yeah. It's dumb, it's pointless, it's useless. We want to watch women with big egos, if at all. Okay, and that leads to the final thing. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was today, and Miss Ariana Madix, she was on the Peacock float for Love Island. And now I posted this because I watched it. I thought it was great. She sang Love Fool, one of my favorite songs by a band called The Cardigans. The Cardigans' second album, by the way, is a badass album. Shout out to The Cardigans. Long live the Cardigans. We first heard Love Fool in Leo DiCaprio's Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann. Remember that back in the day? You should do that, get a second watch on. Hey, Mr. Jamie Kennedy's in that, by the way. I always forget about that. But it's a great song choice. But I posted this, and it was like a positive post. I love that it wasn't like Ariana from Vanderpump Rules. No, it was Ariana, the host of the breakout hit show Love Island USA. So every float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade has some kind of advertisement behind it. Like Kylie Minogue was there for Raoul's spaghetti sauce. It's like you're overly inundated with advertisement. I mean, the Jolly Green Giant had a float to promote those shitty green beans. No offense if you work for the Jolly Green Giant, guys, but they're canned green beans. My mom used to love them. But it's all, I mean, that's what the gig is. And also, it's raining in New York. Also, nobody was singing live. And I post this, and for the most part, majority is positivity. More, oh, you're killing it, girl, you're killing it. And then there always is, with anything you post online, it's a wave of negativity. A wave of, oh, boo, oh, lip syncing, great song choice, Ariana. First off, she's promoting Love Island. Love Fool's a pretty good song for Love Island. it's not just wall-to-wall Thanksgiving Day classic songs. I mean, fucking T-Pain was out there doing his doing his bangers. I get low, low, low. Like, is that a fucking Thanksgiving banger? It could be, especially if you're on the toilet. But it was like, that wave of negativity always shocks me. And what I've learned from doing this over the years, I've learned a couple of things. First off, post regularly. That's good to build an audience. Second off is that not everybody's going to like you. Third off is you can like people still, even if they don't like you. I can still have good feelings about somebody that doesn't have good feelings about me. Like, doesn't take, and also try not to spread negativity everywhere you go. Like, we can joke around. I think as I've gotten older, it's not even softer. I just think I see a little bit more how things work, or how things, it was like the comment was like lip syncing. I mean, like I said, majority positive, but then the other one, and I don't know if we need to retire this soon or maybe give it a rest, but it was like, has anyone checked on Sheena? And it's like funny the first time, but I think like 30 or 40 people said the same thing on the post. And I'm like, after you've read it 40 times, you're like, yeah, man. I think probably people have checked on Sheena. And I think Sheena at this point is actually kind of happy for Ariana. And it looks like, and what I predicted from that announcement when I did the hour-long emergency episode 2 days ago, was that I think this will actually help Ariana and Sheena's relationship. And they have been kind of saying nice things about each other on each other's Instagram posts. And I think that the pressure of this show being done for them is going to help their relationship 10, 20-fold. I will not say the same thing for Lala. Lala seems to be stuck in some sort of Grinchmas. And like I even said on that episode, it's going to be really interesting to see where everybody is a year from now. And we're going to find out more of why and what kept this show from having another season. I mean, it's going to have another season just with all new people, but there's a lot of factors. And I think primarily one of them was money. Like, I just want to remind everybody, it was money. But it wasn't Ariana ruining the show. If anything, if you're going to cast blame anywhere, I mean, I think it's financial. I think having so many OGs with contracts being up is like the key component. I think Lala didn't do this show any favors, though. But also, that could be completely wrong. It's just a vibe I get. And I think that's what a lot of people love about Lala, is that kind of wild strength. But at the same time, overall, I'm going to be curious to see how that, I was trying to think of like perfect projects for everybody, in this cast, like where they're going to work next. And we obviously saw that like Schwartz, Sheena, and Lala will go to the Valley in some capacity, which they've already filmed the second season. I think those roles are going to grow. And remember, Schwartz literally lives next door to Jax now. So, I mean, that's easy filming right there. Sandoval's going to be on The Traitors in January. Lala's on Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity as one of the panelists. That's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if all the episodes are out yet, but they've been airing the last month and a half. So you're going to see little, hopefully Sheena will get her Dancing with the Stars eventually. It's going to be interesting, but also just remember, just because there's no OGs in the new Vanderpump Rules doesn't mean you're not going to have guest appearances. Doesn't mean, like, I can see a world in which you have guest spots. Remember See You Next Tuesday? DJ James Kennedy still does that occasionally. DJ James Kennedy might be a part of it for like a special Tuesday episode of See You Next Tuesday. You got to open your mind. Listen, Oasis got back together 25 years after they broke up. Who knows? Maybe Vanderpump Rules OG will get together in 5 to 10 years. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of that, I always hated when they did the new iteration of Beverly Hills 90210, because I'm an old school Shannon Doherty, Jason Priestley, Luke. I'm Jenny Garth. I'm OG Beverly Hills 90210. And even if you have little guest appearances by the old cast in the new iteration, like they did with 90210, it just didn't speak to me. I knew it spoke to somebody younger, but not to me. Saved by the Bell, the new class. I hated that as well, because I was Saved by the Bell, the old class. We're always going to have our loyalties. And I get wanting to hate something. I get it so much. But sometimes, especially on Thanksgiving or Christmas, I just feel like the capacity for people to throw out negative comments, it's just fucking wild. Like, it's fucking wild, man. We're here to like have fun and joke around and stuff like that. And maybe it's funny to you guys, but sometimes it bums me out. Like, that's why it's hard as that account got bigger on Instagram, or it's hard to read those comments because for every good comment, there could be 2 negative ones. And if you do feel, like I said, I'm a theater kid. I feel things very deeply. It bums you out. You carry that energy around because I've always been this dude of like, I hope everybody's happy. I hope everybody, and it's one of those things. Another thing that you learn to realize, not everybody's going to be happy, and that fucking sucks. And it hurts inside, right? Because you want everybody to get along, and that's just not the reality of any sort of situation in life. So, Ariana, congrats. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, there's always going to be haters out there that are going to see you succeed, and they're just going to hate you. And hate you. The more successful you get, the more they're going to hate you. And I will say that hate crystallizes in something so bad in you. And not that we know how to, I hate certain things myself. My God, you guys know a handful of them. And I always think that shit is probably the worst part of me. It sometimes is the funniest part of me, but it can also be the worst part. I don't know. Sometimes I need to figure out how to let that shit go. But today we're going to focus all of our hate, all of our anger onto Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as a whole, season 14, episode 2. Are you ready to do this with me? Promise me, you guys. Can we have fun? Can we try to have a little fun? Remember laughter, folks? God, I wonder what you guys are eating today. God, I love food. Oh, I had French onion soup last night, you guys, with the melty cheese on top. God, my love affair with cheese, it's taken a dark turn because my stomach is a lot more sensitive now. Okay, fuck. I'm just wasting time now. Let's finally start 27 minutes in to this recap. If you think about it, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really, really helps. We cracked finally on Spotify. We cracked the top 50 on TV and film podcasts. Because we have so many people that listen on Apple Podcasts, and then I noticed the other day Spotify messaged and I cracked the top 50. So thank you guys for listening on Spotify. Thank you for leaving a review over there. That shit really helps. But thank you. Also, finishing up the Vanderpump Rules season 2 episode 4 recap for Patreon. So come join us over there. Come join us, baddies. We're gonna be doing a Patreon live, I think, next week, some point. I think Maritza has a date for that, so I'll get that to you as well. Okay, I'm still just wasting time. Let's get into this damn dirty recap. You know what I want to sing real fast? A digital get down. Just you and me. We're recapping Beverly Hills on a digital machine. Oh, shit, that's what I got to remind you guys. Danny Pellegrino, Deck the Walls. Okay, remember Danny Pellegrino was on the show 2 weeks ago, and we talked all about his new Hallmark film that airs tonight, Friday night, on Hallmark Channel, called Deck the Walls. He stars in it, and he fucking wrote it. Go listen to that episode from a couple weeks ago for some nice behind-the-scenes facts. But you guys, we got to watch this. We got to show up in droves. Even if you can't be there on Friday, set your DVR. And then what you do is you take up all your Thanksgiving leftovers and you put it all into 2 big pieces of bread. Not too crusty, make it firm enough. Remember last Thanksgiving I was with my dad and I made him a big old sandwich and then he broke his tooth on the hard bread. So just check your teeth before you bite into these bread during the holidays. And then you make a big old sandwich and you pour yourself a big old glass of mulled wine or whatever holiday drink you want to drink. And then you watch Deck the Walls. You got to support Danny Pellegrino. You got to do it. The guy is just fantastic. He's loving. You know what I'm saying? Like, we always talk about like hateful comments. We were just talking about that, haters. You know who, Danny's not a hater. I mean, Danny can dislike things, but he's not a hater. And he's one of those, him and the Watch What Crappens guys, those are the people that I think, I look up to them for so many reasons, but they can be really funny. They can be really, cutting. But at the same time, people love them. People love them because I think inside that they know that they are good people. Or that they've, had mistakes over the years, but they're good people, like that they want the best for people. And I truly believe that of them. So Danny Pellegrino, Deck the Walls, Hallmark Channel tonight. Set your DVRs. Come on, guys. As a baddie family, let's show up for Danny. Okay, so this is, as we said, this is season 14, episode 2, and this is called A Sobering separation. Now, we always try to derive clues from the title. A sobering separation. That leads me to think this is potentially about PK and Dorit because he's a full-blown alcoholic. He's in the gutter. Dorit told everybody last episode of what even Dorit meeting Bose for the first time. Do you know PK? He's a horrible drunk. This guy's red-faced. His nose is bigger than a big alkie's. Oh my God, this guy drinks turpentine if there's a alcohol content in it. It's gross, Bose, gross. Chuck Dorit wasn't at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in a float of just like, PK's a drunk float. It could be that. It could be Kyle not being able to say Morgan Wade's name anymore on this. And by the way, Morgan Wade was on Watch What Happens Live, a special Fan Fest episode this past week where Andy hit her with the question of like, we've noticed you don't want to say Morgan's name anymore. She's like, and she was surprised. Like she was just giggling about somebody else being asked a question. And then all of a sudden she was like, she didn't sign up for this. And I don't think, good for Morgan to not want, it is funny. Like at first it's like probably cool to be around somebody in reality TV. And then the reality of that is like, oh, people are like really going to start making memes and coming at like, it's like, I want to be a singer songwriter. Is this good for what I want to do eventually? I'm just kind of guessing. It's me, Morgan. I don't know if I want you to say my name. Unfortunately, we've said your name last season, so you will be a reoccurring character on So Bad It's Good this season, even though you're not in this episode, as well as somebody that will always be a reoccurring character in my heart and mind is Lisa Rinna. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Guess what I had? 3 jars of Harry's Bolognese. I spread it all over my tofurkey. It's so good. I drink it like wine. I drink it like my enemy's blood. Okay, this is the summary the cable company gives us. Kyle and Dorit's fractured friendship remains hanging in the balance. Bozema opens up. Sutton and Erica join forces to dole out a slice of divorce advice from Kyle. I like the slice of a divorce advice. That's like a very Thanksgiving, it's like a pie, so a slice of. And anytime join forces, like this isn't the Army. My God, it's not like the Marines and the Air Force got together to talk to Kyle about divorce. Dorit and PK take a sobering look at their marriage and separation. So those are the scenes that we have to look forward to. And then we start off, as we always do, with scenes from the previous episodes, since we've only had one this season. And I do want to say they start off with the cast photo for this season. And all of the ladies, they look gorgeous in this cast photo. Have you guys seen it? You can see it online, but we have Bose on the end, then Dorit, then Kyle, then Garcelle, then Sutton, and then Erica. And they're all holding the big diamond, which I feel like, is this bad for Erica's court cases at all? Are they going to go after that big diamond she's holding in his... I swear to God, it's my diamond. No, you can't take this. Evolution Media and Bravo, it's a prop. You don't get this. I'm Erica Jane. Kyle, there's no middle, there's only 6 main cast members because Jennifer Tilly's a friend of, right? So there's no person in the middle. The 2 closest to the middle are Kyle and Garcelle. So I always am fascinated how they pick who goes in the middle. So that's where we start, and then it's like scenes previously on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And we have Kyle and Portia doing their Lucy and Ethel, struggling to do daily chores without the help of a man, even though Kyle seems like she's training for some kind of decathlon in the living room gym that she has, where she's always just like, Kyle's going to war at some point in Beverly Hills. I always think of it as like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, when all of a sudden you're like, damn, Linda Hamilton got jacked. It's like, oh my God, she's like Tamara Barney that season where she competed in a fucking arm wrestling competition, whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? So we see that, and Kyle and I talking head going, what has changed in my life since last year? Oh my gosh, so much. And then we have a scene with Dorit at the Pacific Design Center where Erica was shopping with money that I don't think she has. And Dorit's like, I've got some news. And Erica's like, what? And Dorit's like, PK and I've agreed to separate. And Erica do it like actress. Erica Jane is an actress. She went, Did you get that on camera? Does it make me look very empathetic? She was like, I've never heard anything like that in my life. Erica has a good reaction shot later in this episode as well, where she's really I mean, who knew that just letting Lisa Rinna go would make Erica Jane more empathetic? Because Lisa Rinna was always the one going, yeah, lean into your dark side, Erica. It feels good, doesn't it? Come under my short hair umbrella. So Erica, is weirdly being positioned as the voice of reason this season, which we're going to hell in a handbasket when that happens. PK in a scene with Mauricio going, we were just taking bites out of each other, me and Dorit. We're taking bites out of each other. And then a scene with Dorit to Erica going, there has been something going on with Kyle and I for a good year and a half. She went public and said that I exaggerated our friendship. And then Kyle to Erica going, what I did was only in response to the way I was treated. So Kyle admitting that this was some sort of act of revenge, potentially. But at the end of the day, like I said last week, I just think the real hurtful thing potentially with Dorit is I just don't think Kyle thinks about this in the same way that Dorit thinks about this. Like I said last week too, is that Dorit's real breakup here the real pain feels like the breakup with Kyle and not the breakup with PK. It seems like that's where the real hurt and the anger is. Because this last scene with PK and Dorit in this episode is not grown up per se, but it's emotionally deadened. Whereas Dorit with Kyle, it's like Dorit comes alive. That fucking bitch Kyle! And also, I had some comments for people that are new to the show. The Dorit imitation, none of these imitations are what they sound like. Dorit, it started off as a C-3PO from Star Wars, like, Master Luke, beep boop bop beep boop boop boop. And that's kind of just what I always thought of Dorit as, because her accent was fluctuating, even though her Midwestern accent is really taking hold. So we'll see if Dorit's accent stays the same for the rest of these recaps. Erica in a talking head says, Kyle and Dorit have a lot to work out. And then Sutton, remember she had the surrealist ball last episode. Well, let me bring all these ladies back together in a surrealist way, I say. And her whole property was turned into this really big property that just seemed like it was going through an acid trip. And Sutton's like, Bose, the new character Bose and I go to a lot of the same parties. I say, Bose is the real deal. And Dorit to Bose is like, you're basically corporate America all wrapped up in one fabulous human being. Beep boop bop beep boop boop boop. And Bose is like, yeah, right. Like, I love everybody, including Kathy, was like, you're the boss. You're the boss. She's like, I'm Bose. Yeah, but you're the boss. I'm going to rip my hair extensions out now. Ugh. I've got machines keeping me alive at this point. And then Kyle in a scene going, I know that we both have a lot of hurt. When she finally met up with Dorit at the Surrealist Ball, which, remember, Dorit was wearing one of the biggest ashtrays I've ever known, or just around her head. And Dorit's like, I've had enough, Kyle, of feeling like I am tossed around, used whenever you want, made to feel like I have to reevaluate whether or not we are friends. So that's where we start, folks. I have to keep taking breaks because the drainage from my sinuses keep aggravating my throat. So I'm like drinking throat coat. This is called professionalism, folks. Okay, so we have, very exciting, they always save the taglines now for the second or even third episode. So our taglines are finally here. We start with Kyle, and Kyle's like, these hills have eyes, and they're all staring at me. That sounds like a horror film. That legitimately sounds like Kyle's you in danger, girl. Get out of Beverly. They're all staring at me, all the eyes. Morgan will protect you, Kyle. We end up next. Sutton's like, I honor my fine southern manners, I say, by putting you in your place. So she's leaning into the fact that she's Southern. It's almost like Angie Katsunavis is Greek. Garcelle, we move on to I've been in the game too long to play by someone else's rules. I'm Garcelle. I live by a power plant. Erica's is my favorite.
In Beverly Hills, money buys a lot, but my independence, priceless.
So that almost kind of tries to make you fall into the belief system that Erica's an independent lady now. You know what? She's not bought and paid for. Hey, Tom Girardi, he doesn't own Erica anymore. But we also fail to mention that there are so many articles saying that she is like privately funded by another rich dude right now. But I guess he won't be making an appearance. So, power to Erica. Now, Bose is introducing the greatest product I've ever marketed, myself. That's great because Bose has like this long history with all of these like insanely powerful companies like Uber and Netflix. So that leans into that. And we find out a lot more about Bose and her story in this episode. And then Dorit, she ends it all. And hers is, fuck Kyle Richards. Wouldn't that be that's her tagline? Fuck Kyle Richards, or fuck Kyle Richards and PK's a drunk, horrible drunk. Just like a really random, horrible tagline. No, hers is, I might look like a doll, but don't wind me up. What kind of fucking doll does Dorit look like? I mean, is this like the new American Girl dolls? The Dorit Kemsley, child of the world doll. What? She looks like a doll, but I mean, I get the don't wind her up because she's going to explode, but I feel like, I don't know, have we ever thought of Dorit as she looks like a doll? Is that a storyline? Maybe they make a Dorit doll as one of her storylines this season? I don't know, but really interesting taglines. Okay, so we pick back up right where we left off last episode. We're at Sutton's Surrealism Ball. Remember, like, the musical artist just performed and she was doing that song about pussy popping, like, pussy popping is power, yeah, yeah, yeah. And Erica's like, yeah, pussy, woo. So Kyle and Dorit are in this conversation, and it's really weird because Dorit seems fully activated already, and Kyle just seems like kind of a little annoyed, and she keeps looking to the right. Like, I don't know if she's looking at a producer or somebody like to help her, but even in this conversation, I feel like Dorit or Kyle isn't fully focused on Dorit, which just must be upsetting Dorit more. So Kyle's like, I'm gonna need you to listen now, okay? And Dorit's like, and be very honest, and let's actually really talk about real stuff. So go on, tell me. So Dorit wanting to get to the truth. Like, Dorit is really picking it. Like, I feel like there's a specific piece of information or a specific truth that Dorit is trying to needle Kyle insane. So I don't know if it's about Morgan. I don't know what it is, but like, I feel like if Dorit's pushed like 4 or 5 more episodes, she's going to reveal it. So Kyle's like, if you're going to just only be aggressive and not be open, I'm having this conversation because I'm hoping to get to the other side of this. You literally don't even act like yourself right now. I don't know what's going on with you. So once again, Kyle like pushing that button of like, it's on you, Dorit. It's on you. I don't know. I'm good on my end. And Dorit's like, fuck you, Kyle, because I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore, Kyle. I'm not. I'm using naughty language this season. And Kyle's like, we both have a lot of different feelings and thoughts about what happened, and we both have our sides. And Dorit's like, our history counts. By the way, yeah, open the schools. This is the kind of history I do want to learn. Their history does count, and Kyle's acting like it's no biggie. They have been through thick and thin. Kind of together. But Dorit's like fighting for her life, She's like, that's why when you went publicly and said I exaggerated our friendship. And then we go to the day when music died, and that's when Kyle was on Amazon Live, the most powerful forum for breaking news in the Bravo universe. And we see this Amazon Live where Kyle's like blinking her eyes in sarcasm, saying like, she said we used to go on trips together. We've only gone on one trip together as a couple that I can recall. That was just flat out exaggeration. Kind of like, Dorit's full of shit. She's skiing too much booger sugar from Dorit. You know what I'm saying? Dorit in a talking head is like, we have so many memories, so many intimate moments. It felt like she took 8 years of deep sisterly friendship and flushed it down the toilet. Like a big old Kyle poop. A big old Kyle diarrhea fest. And she flushed it. And then some pieces of it still floated up, so she flushed it again. And she has money for good toilets, but she kept flushing. The Dorit Kyle friendship, the Thelma and Louise, and it's all down a toilet. I can't take it. Kyle in this scene is like, okay, well, can I tell you why I said that? And Dorit's like, yes, Kyle, tell me why. Because, so when we were at BravoCon and we're up there as besties, so referring back once again to this is what I'm saying, man. Especially when you're in the Housewives universe or reality show universe, you lose all perspective and sense of humor. Like, so far, we've gotten upset about an Amazon Live and BravoCon. Like, I've been to the BravoCons. These are meant to be silly and stupid, and everybody's acting like it's like the fucking Hague or something. Like, this is like it's like Diddy trying to get bail. I mean, this is fucking silly. Anyway, sorry for all the language, you guys. I just don't get it. We flash back to BravoCon, and Andy's like, rank the Richard sisters in order from your favorite to least favorite. And Dorit goes to drink the shot instead of answering. And Andy goes, there goes the shot. And Kyle smacks Dorit's arm, and Dorit, kind of splashes the shot everywhere. And Dorit goes, well, Kyle's definitely last. After she spilt the drink on Dorit. Kathy's definitely first. Which was like an obvious stupid joke. And even Kyle laughed in that moment. And this is what makes Kyle, even though a lot of people, including herself, might think she's above this show in certain ways, this is what makes her still, a very, very much belonging on this Housewives show, is that she then thinks about this and then gets upset after the fact. So Kyle's telling Dorit, and you look at me like, oh, I don't know. And Dorit's like, it was a joke, Kyle. It's tongue in cheek. And Kyle's like, it wasn't. You said, oh, Kyle, that really hurt me. And Dorit's like, it was a joke. Something you and I used to do a lot. We used to be, we used to be an old Laurel and Hardy. Laurel and Hardy with our cut up. We used to be the Three Stooges. But just two of us, me and you, we were the funniest in Beverly Hills. And Kyle's like, I was very emotional that whole time. You knew what was going on. I had shared things with you, and then I started crying when I was asked about it. We flash back again to BravoCon 2023, and Kyle's like, I just want to say that, this was not my idea of my fairy tale. Clearly, And then she starts crying. Kyle continues in this scene, and Dorit, you later said to certain people that I turned the tears on for the attention. And Dorit's like smiling, like, hee, hoo, 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 I still believe that. Why are you smiling like that's not true? And Dorit's like, Kyle, this is exactly what I expected. You think I'm some fucking idiot. The language from, you think I'm some fucking idiot. That is absolutely not why you went on Amazon Live and said that. Do you know what I think, Kyle? You were mad that I said something on Watch What Happens Live that wasn't even a big deal. Andy asked, how has your relationship been affected by Kyle and Morgan's relationship? So now we're not even at BravoCon anymore. We flashed from Amazon Live to BravoCon. Now we're flashing back to Watch What Happens Live in New York 2023. And Dorit was asked that question by Andy, and Dorit's like, I feel like the closer she got with Morgan, the further Kyle got away from me. And Andy's like, wow, interesting. Creepy. And Dorit's looking at the TV screen going, sorry, Kyle, I love you, but that's the truth. That's how I feel. Dude, you know what? I almost feel like any minute Dorit's going to start dating Morgan Wade just to get back at Kyle. Like, it is, like, I understand it, but then I do think there's also an unhealthy way to look at a friendship, to keep hitting the same button. And if Kyle's not answering that door, to keep hitting that button, and then once you realize this person kind of truly doesn't care about you in the way that you care about them, to then kind of go then and complain about it over and over again, it doesn't necessarily get things back on track at all. Like, I don't fault Dorit for it, but I do think Dorit's right. I just think Kyle genuinely doesn't give a shit, and Kyle's going through changes. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Dorit to Kyle in this scene goes, I said that God forbid the worst thing in the world. And then you decided, no, now I'm going to show her. In a talking head, Dorit goes, if Kyle could just be honest, tell me that really pissed her off. It got her in trouble with Morgan. It caused all kinds of issues. And just tell me she was upset about that. We can have an honest conversation and move on. So what Dorit wants is just Kyle to say, yeah, it really did fucking hurt. It made things really difficult for me. And, but you got to understand that Kyle is not going to trust Dorit with anything anymore because she feels like Dorit betrayed her with the revealing of the text messages. Even though Kyle was gaslighting her in those text messages, why, if Kyle is who we know Kyle to be, would she provide any of that information to Dorit at this point? Because if you're looking at the power rankings, Kyle still thinks she's not better than Dorit. And I don't even know if it's this. I mean, all of this stuff is subconscious. I don't think Kyle sits there going, I'm better than Dorit. But I do think she kind of thinks like, oh my God, Dorit, are you fucking kidding me? I've got real shit going on. And also, you've got real shit going on with PK. This whole conversation, by the way, should be about PK and Dorit. And it's just not even been really brought up at all. Sutton looks over at Kyle and Dorit from across the party. And Sutton's like, whoa, there's a lot of pointing over there. I'm seeing all pointed fingers, Miss Jennifer Tilly. Can you believe all the pointing going on over there? And Jennifer Tilly's like, they're very fired up. And Sutton's like, yeah, and Dorit has nails like yours. You got all those big old long Khloe Kardashian talons. Back to Dorit's going, Kyle, you isolated me. You didn't speak to me for months. Dorit, I'm mad at you for this. Dorit, I'm upset with you for this. And Kyle's like, I didn't have it in me. No, Kyle, you were cold. You were distant, like PK on a winter's morning. And Kyle's like, I was struggling, Dorit. That doesn't mean because you're struggling, you can just treat me like shit. Kyle's like, I've been a good fucking friend. I don't care what you say. Just because you say it doesn't make it true. And Dorit goes, a fucking friend. Yeah. When they're mad, they tell you their friend. They tell their friend that they're mad. They try to work through it. And Kyle's like, it's these last 2 years, the hardest 2 years of my life. You could give me a little fucking grace. I think I did. Kyle. A little bit too much grace. And when you get to the point that you can go publicly and fucking say that I exaggerate our friendship, grace time is over. Grace time is over. No more free Beverly Beach swimwear for you, Kyle. And Kyle gets up and storms off. And Dorit goes, I so fucking expected that. You know what I didn't expect? And by the way, yeah, we can all admit this scene would be more powerful if Dorit fired up a Marlboro Light during it. Like, Kyle, let me tell you something. Us smokers know. Smoke them if you got them. You know what I'm saying? Bitch. But like Dorit did not come to play. And it also gives more credence to PK at the end saying, but Dorit, if we spoke to the waitstaff like we speak to each other, we'd be thrown out of this place. And I truly now feel like, wow, we're really seeing a more real Dorit. And Dorit is a potty mouth. That's Dorit. Dorit's a real potty. Dorit's one of those people you keep extra soap on hand because you got to wash that mouth out. It's a lot of potty mouth. Little Jagaloo's like, fucking bullshit. It's me, Little Jagaloo. Fuck bullshit. Fuck shit. Bullshit. Fuck. Like just the language that must be around that house. So Kyle in a talking head goes, I've been a bad friend and you just decide to say this now because I'm mad at you? How convenient. No, you hurt me and now you have to create something to justify your behavior? This is not a friendship. So Kyle still not wanting to accept any kind of blame, to be fault at any of this. Kyle thinks Dorit is completely in the wrong. Now, Garcelle is talking to Kyle, and Garcelle's like, Kyle, are you okay? And Kyle's like, it's impossible to talk to her. Is it? Or is it the fact that Dorit's finally calling you on something and you're not used to that? Who knows? Garcelle says, well, I know that, but what happened? Garcelle taking every opportunity to always let us know that Dorit is long-winded and hard to talk to. And Kyle goes, actually, I've never seen her act like that. I felt like I was talking to an imposter. And Garcelle's like, wow. But also, think about that. Wouldn't that be a cool storyline if all of a sudden we found out there was an imposter? Like there's clones of Beverly Hills and Dorit like is somewhere trapped in like Buca de Beppo in Dorit's room. Like the real Dorit is in the Capri room. Like, help me, Kyle, get me out. My clone is saying bad language everywhere and smoking. I don't do that. It's me. I'm the real Dorit. Save me, Kyle. You're my only hope. Beep boop bop beep boop boop boop. So on the other side of the room, Dorit is now talking to Erica, and Dorit's like, well, I'm going to get going. Dorit's like, well, that happened, LOL. And Erica's like,
What happened?
remember when I told you in order to work it out that I needed to be able to have an honest, real conversation? Well, that is not what I got.
What did you get?
I got a load of BS, Erica Jane. I'm tired of it, Erica. Dorit in the talking head says, I feel fed up. I'm fed up with this friendship. I'm fed up with the marriage, and I'm fed up with having to feel the way I felt. And I'm not going to keep my mouth shut because at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. She literally says, I don't give a fuck. This is of a nervous breakdown, and I say that in the best possible way ever. I mean, somebody that doesn't have anything to lose anymore. Yeah, Dorit. Hey, look at that, kids. That's a bright, bright star in the sky right now. And she is, we might be flying too close to the heavens. We might be on rarefied air because we also do know that Dorit very much cares, and that's why she's this upset. So let's see where she goes. But isn't it funny that last scene is what you would expect to hear her talking about her husband, that they're separated? Wouldn't that? But instead, it's about this relationship with Kyle. I just find that really fascinating. Now, Bose, the new cast member, is standing near Dorit and going, okay, good night. I'm going to go drink a little more tequila. All right, I'll see you. I love that Bose being honest. Well, I'm going to go drink some more free tequila. Have a good one, Dorit. Keep it, keep it cool. Yeah. And Dorit's like, okay. And Erica's like,
Bye-bye, you too. We'll talk some more.
and Bose is like, okay, cool. Dorit in the talking head goes, I need to have a voice. I'm no longer that girl that you've seen these last 2 years. I'm bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And she holds up her right hand and flips the bird. What a powerful symbol. Flipping the bird from Dorit. I use sign language right now. Dorit's like, can you hear this? Do you want me to turn it up? As I'm turning up my middle finger. My dad used to do that all the time as a joke. Can you hear this? Do you want me to turn it up? Can you hear this? Hey, Kyle, pull my finger. It's the middle one. Ha ha. You know what I'm saying? So Dorit is like, and by the way, Dorit, the producers, Alex Baskin, everybody that's with Beverly Hills, I would kill to know the conversations they had with Dorit. Like, were they like, Dorit, you're the strongest we've ever seen you. And God, it would be really great if you could tell Kyle. I don't know if Kyle appreciates you. Do you really think so? Do you think I'm very cool this season? Yeah, no, definitely. What was that thing that I saw you do that one time a couple years ago? You were joking with PK. Oh, the middle finger? Yes, it's a little joke we do. I just thought that was super cool. It'd be cool if you did that in a scene. Really? Do you think I could pull a middle finger maybe in a talking head? Do you think the audience would like that? Whew. That'd probably get under Kyle's skin, huh? A big old middle finger from Dorit? Ha ha ha. So outside the party, everybody's waiting for cars. And Dorit's like, oh my lordy, I cannot wait to take this dress off. And Erica's like,
And throw it in the trash.
and Dorit's like, done. And Erica's like,
Throw that dress in the trash.
and Dorit's like, done. And I don't know if Erica just keeps saying throw it in the trash because Erica's like,
And then I'm going to come over and steal it from the trash. Mama needs new clothes.
now back in the party, Bose is, drinking her free tequila, and to Sutton and Bose is like, I gotta say, I had a good connection with Dorit today, and she seemed pretty upset when she was about to leave. I don't know what happened. And Sutton's like, wait. And Bose is like, she was talking to Kyle, and Sutton's looking around and going, well, hang on. They were right over there. And Bose is like, yeah, they're both gone, girl. Yeah, I did talk to Dorit. Outside, the cars are pulling up, and Dorit's like, my boy, there's my Dean. I guess her driver's name is, there's my Dean. And now I don't trust anybody that drives these Housewives, because remember Sutton last season was like, well, I haven't made out with anybody except my driver. I'll say, yeah. Well, we made out a couple of times, no biggie. And I'm like, who the fuck is running is Avi running HR over at Sutton's place? Who's making out with fucking your driver? Like, isn't that really, well, thanks for the lift. You want to come in for a nightcap? Sorry, Miss Sutton. I just think that'd be wrong. I work for you. Well, we'll clock out. How about that? Come on in. I'm just going to watch my stories. You watching Love Island this summer? It's a very erotic show. I'd love if you watched it with me. I'll say. It's just super weird. But now I'm like, who's this Dean Dorit? Calm down. Now, Erica is going back into the party after walking Dorit out to say,
good night, Kyle.
Goodbye, Kyle. I can't believe it's me, Ken. I wish I was back on Beverly Hills instead of another season of Vanderpump Rules with all new cast members. I can't believe that. It's so upsetting that Lisa keeps doing it. Oh, poor Ken thought he was about to be retired, and now he has to come back to Vanderpump Rules even though all the OGs are gone. Pour one out for Ken, man. Anyways, Kyle's like, good night, Erica. And she gets into her car, and Kyle's like, the weirdest fucking party I've ever been to in my life. Is that true? Come on. I've seen some of the parties that Kyle goes to. Like, she's always hanging out with Paula Abdul and, like, Kathy, her sister. I mean, come on. Like, they grew up hanging out with Michael Jackson. You're telling me this is the weirdest party? No, I don't buy that for a second. Okay, so now it is a new day in Beverly Hills. We survived the surrealist. So this is our Bose segment, right? So we got to meet her last episode, but now we get to see a little bit more of her life and what she's all about. And I mean, it seems like she's got a lot of shit going on. So we open up and we have Bose getting out of a big fancy car, and she's like, okay, let's go. Woo! And she swings her like calf length hair and parades into this event. Of course, favorite slow-mo camera to capture this footage, and she has like an entourage of 5 people following along, even the side view. It's really shot this part like Selling Sunset, and then we have like Selling Sunset music play, like, you know that we be killing it, you know that you can handle it, me and my girl, we're bringing it, girl power. Bose in a talking head says, my name is Bozema Afiba Mamachi Arthur St. John, otherwise known as Bose. My name is Ghanaian. It means goddess. So when you say my name, you're summoning all of my greatness. My God, I would give anything to have the confidence of Bose, or even the confidence of a shitty chef on the Below Deck franchise. They just have the most confidence ever. So I'm like, God, this Bose. And it's good to have somebody with this amount of confidence. I think that is very necessary to be in this ring. I just sometimes worry that Bose might be so qualified in actual life and business that it's like playing with kids in a sense. Like, do you really want to get in this sandbox? But happy to have you for now. Bose is like, should I hit this real quick? Meaning the badass workshop curated by Bozema St. John Step and Repeat. And she's like, come on, because I have to bless it in Jesus' name. She stands for photos in front of a slew of photographers. Bose over here. Bose over here. Bose continues in a talking head. I've had a 25-year history in corporate America. I mean, I know I look young, but let me tell you something. I've been around the block 3 times. Ha 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 ha. Bose continues, Forbes named me #1 most influential CMO in the world. Holy balls, you guys. We see an article by Fast Company featuring most creative people in 2013. Bozema St. John, Director of Cultural Branding, Music, and Entertainment, PepsiCo. The article in part says, St. John created a commercial lead-in to Beyonce's halftime show, crowdsourcing 500 photos of fans jumping and air kissing into an animated intro befitting the much ballyhooed performance that followed. Bose goes on in a talking head, I've been on Fast Company's 100 Most Creative People. Ebony named me one of the most powerful executives in the world. Yeah, but have you ever had Reality Blurb call you kind of an annoying podcaster? Didn't think so. Bose in talking head says, I mean, should I go on? There's a headline from Wired saying Bozema St. John was badass long before Apple. Bo's still at the step and repeat with another fan gets asked, are you hiring right now? By the way, Bose, I'm asking that as well. And Bose is like, no, not right now, but you can give your information to my chief of staff. And she points at her chief of staff. Damn. Bose in a talking head says, well, since I've retired from formal corporate life, I've been busier than ever. I've been doing podcasts, hey-o, workshops, advocacy. Maybe put the podcast in the middle. Let me start with advocacy. Anyways, I thought retirement was putting my legs up. No, that sounds terrible. That's a different kind of work. Oh, Bose, lady of the night. Bose is on the microphone at her workshop going, okay, who's ready for their badass workshop? Here we come. Bose dances down the aisle in the auditorium to ramp up the crowd. Bose in a talking head says, I started the badass workshops because everyone always asks me, how did they get to the corner office? If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me that question, well, I am a millionaire. But I mean, even more so of a millionaire. At the work, by the way, they should have like all the housewives take this workshop. My God. Bose says, okay, badass workshop, what's up? This session is called Pivoting to Your Greater Self. This pivot is deeply personal. It's personal because I have already done it. I was 10 years in at PepsiCo. In January of that year, I'd successfully negotiated the deal with the NFL to have the Super Bowl halftime show be sponsored by PepsiCo. A few months later, we discovered that my husband had terminal cancer. It switches to a talking head, and she says, Peter Daniel St. John was my husband. I was looking for my Black Prince Charming, and then comes this ginger-haired Italian background gold chain wearing no Black Prince type of a guy. And they show us several photos of a young Bose and Peter. Bose looks very different in these photos. Just very young and not like made up. Like Bose looks like a superhero now. A lot of these housewives looks like, when they get to the point where they're on film, they look like the Avengers, But we see her and her husband, Peter Daniel St. John, and they look like a really cute couple, very much in love. Bose continues in a talking head saying, everything that could be different between us was, but it worked for us. Now we flash to the workshop, and Bose is talking to them saying, and then 3 months later, he died. All these years later, I still can't find the words really, to be honest with you. I can't describe what it felt like. Back to the talking head, Bose says, one of the most difficult things about losing Peter was knowing that Lael, who's their daughter, would be fatherless. They loved each other so much. He was robbed of the chance to be a father, and Lael was robbed of the chance to be loved by her father for the rest of her life. And they show us pictures of Lael as a baby and grown up. Bose continues her speech at the workshop. My daughter was turning 4. Lael and I have a really special bond. I think it was born the day her dad died because it was just the two of us. And in February of the following year, 2014, I was up for a review. And just as I was sitting there directly across from my boss, who then said to me, you haven't hit enough home runs in this job. I knew in that moment that it was time for me to move on. So that trauma and that pivot is what has led me to this moment right here. Well, this is the new era in my life. The last ladder I climbed up in corporate America was built by other people. This new ladder is built by me, rung by rung. The things that are happening in your life don't have to make you sit down. You get up and do something. You are the actual pivot. The audience cheers and claps. Bose in a talking head says, I no longer have to answer to anybody. Well, now you're going to have to answer to Dorit. Monday morning, I'm not worrying about the email you're sending me. If I'm sending an email, it's for somebody who's doing something for me, not the other way around. That's the way I like it. So she cheers to the workshop. And that's a power broker, man. That's somebody that has been dealt a lot of cards in life and has been able to handle it. And obviously, like she says, pivot. What I love about her is she's this badass, but it looks like, with the death of her husband, that is something that, you feel it yourself, or what I've gone through, or my dad's going through, or what we've all gone through. It sometimes just takes you under completely. And by the way, I'm not saying that she is like, oh my God, she's like perfect. Obviously, we're going to see probably her Achilles heel this season at some point. But man, it really is refreshing to see somebody, Garcelle will be like, oh, this next chapter, this is what I'm doing. I'm producing, I'm directing. And I think footing in all of this, but here's somebody that is firmly established, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see. So now we move along to the Godfrey Hotel in Hollywood, and Kyle, hello Kyle pulls up in her black Porsche convertible and hands the keys to a valet and goes inside and gets seated. And Sutton gets dropped off to meet her. So we got a Sutton and Kyle scene. And Kyle's like, hi. And Sutton's like, well, the last time I was here, I got a little Botox. And Kyle's like, at the hotel? Yeah, because there was an Oscar party and it was up here and the doctor did it for free. Listen, I've not had a lot of Botox in my life, but should we really just be getting them done in hotel Oscar parties? I guess the price is right, but I would be a little. It's like, they're like, there was actually no Botox at that party. I think that stranger just stuck you with a knife. Well, it was free and I felt good. Couldn't move my cheek for a year. Anyways, Sutton's like, well, how long ago? And Sutton's like, well, like a month ago. Can you tell? And Sutton, Kyle's like squinting, trying to tell. It's like, oh, well. Anyways, the server interrupts to take their order. Sutton and the talking head's like, well, a lot's got thrown at me this past year. Accusations about me that aren't necessarily true, I say. We flash back to 2023 when Kyle says, I don't know if it was your medicine for your feet that makes you act strange, Sutton. I don't know if it was that it was your first drink or you already had a couple. Something was not right with you. Name 'em. Name 'em, Kyle. Name 'em. So Kyle, there is this pattern where Kyle accuses other women, whether it be Sutton, whether it be Dorit. And by the way, Kyle is this person that's kind of like us. I think if we were thrown with extreme personalities or something, we might react the same way as Kyle. But I think it almost kind of positions Kyle as this person that goes, well, I'm not crazy. All of you guys are crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy. This is crazy. You know? We flash back to the 2023 reunion where Sutton tells Kyle, well, you said I had a drinking problem. I say. And Kyle's like, I never said you had a drinking problem, not one time. And Sutton rolls her eyes, goes, well, it's the insinuation. Remember, that's like the reunion where Sutton had to be like air vac'd out of there. Anyways, a producer asks in Sutton's talking head, why do you suddenly seem to trust Kyle again? And Sutton just stares and pauses and goes, well, who said I trusted her? Ooh. Sutton to Kyle at Godfrey says, well, I love you this bag so much. You got this little bag. And Kyle's like, isn't it great? I got this in Saint-Tropez. It's a pink Birkin. And Sutton's like, well, when were you in Saint-Tropez? And Kyle's like, last summer. I can't remember if it was that one or the one before. I mean, so many Sandro. Hey guys, when's the last time you've been to? I mean, come on, we've always been to Saint-Tropez so many times in our lives. They show us a picture of Kyle standing on a yacht with a tote on her arm that says Saint-Tropez, and another shot sitting with Mauricio and he's kissing her head. Oh, my sweet Kyle, my sweet Kyle. And Sutton's like, well, was that your last family vacation? Ooh, kind of little needle. Well, one of your last family vacations now that you're all split up and you're potentially with Morgan Wade? And Kyle's like, I don't know. We did just go to Stagecoach together and we all stayed at our house there. And then there's a photo of the family at the concert. And Sutton's like, really? And Kyle's like, well, different rooms. But yeah, I mean, we get along. Sutton's holding Kyle's pink bag and peers up. And Sutton goes, for now. You get along for now. And Kyle's like, no, we're going to get along. And Sutton's like, well, I just think when it comes to money, people can be different. I say. And Kyle's like, listen, I trust in that sense because everything me and Mauricio have is 50-50. And yes, of course, the agency's also mine. So Mauricio's business, the agency. Kyle is now saying on camera, I mean, this has always kind of been known, but listen, the agency, it's 50-50. It's mine 50%. And Sutton laughs, finding this funny. Well, that's a good one. Oh my goodness, I haven't heard a joke that funny in forever. Kyle's getting riled up, going, I'll tell you why. And Sutton's like kind of just looking through slitted eyes and goes, Kay? Maybe Kay can be her new name. Kay? No, okay. Kay? Kyle says, first of all, he always says it. It's written in Mauricio's book. Remember, Mauricio has a book, a memoir, or autobiography. If it was not for my wife, I would not have this. I would not, So she's saying, hey, it's even written in this man's book that he owes me everything. Sutton rolls her eyes and like kind of like with that thought of like, well, if I had a nickel for every time some man wrote something about me in a book that didn't come true, I'd be a millionaire again. And Kyle's like, he goes on interviews and says this. I'm not kidding, Sutton. Sutton gives a Kyle like a, what are you fucking kidding me? And Sutton in the talking head goes, well, I don't see a book being used as evidence. We're in divorce court. Come on. Those forensic people are going to come in there and burn that book. You got Johnny Jansen's forensic accountants on this mess. Kyle says, we started with nothing and built it together. There's nothing but half and half, and that's it. And Sutton's like, well, I don't trust any of them. Those good old for nothing. I don't trust. Sutton, my trust bullshit meter just went up every time I hear something like that, Kyle. And I like, and by the way, because this is kind of ridiculous and kind of reminiscent of that scene from last season with the name him. But you then have to realize Sutton actually does have a leg to stand on because she has been through divorce with a very powerful man. And it seems like she had to fight for everything she got. And she's getting a lot. But she realizes how much you have to fight for yourself, how much you have to advocate for yourself with these powerful men. And just because somebody wrote it in a book doesn't mean that all of a sudden Maritza is like, well, fuck. I mean, I say 50-50, but I really meant 75-25. Come on, it's bullshit. I go to work every day. You know, Kyle, come on. So it could get really nasty, and Sutton knows that. But we don't like the package that it's in, right? It's kind of nasty of Sutton to, potentially call her out like this. So Kyle says, we started with nothing and built it together. There's nothing, nothing. Half. And Sutton in the talking head's like, well, the lesson's very clear. Coming out of my marriage, men do not like parting with their money, I say. Sutton tells Kyle, well, I think that I'm going to be real honest with you, Kyle. She looks at Kyle and pauses. Kyle braces herself for what she knows is coming. And Sutton's like, I think you need to file. And I was like, oh my God, has Kyle not paid her taxes? And then I realized divorce file. Now that's a pretty intense scene to put on camera. Like, I think you need to file for a divorce from your husband. And Kyle blinks and she's like, why? Well, because if you go on to do something, Kyle, from the date of filing, that's yours. That's yours. So it's saying like, hey, if you decided to do a knockoff Kimosabi store, if you did it now without filing, he would be entitled to 50% of that. But once you file, that Kimosabi knockoff would be all Kyle's. The thing is, I don't know if Kyle genuinely cares. Like, oh, you want some of my Halloween movie money? Like, I'm sure Kyle has a lot of but it's nothing compared to the agency. Anyways, Kyle in a talking head says, everybody's telling me you need to draw a line in the sand. You need to file for divorce. People are like, who filed? Are you filing? Is he filing? That's the stuff I really don't understand. Eventually we'll figure it out. Kyle is always, it's so weird. Kyle really does lean into being blissfully ignorant so much on this show. Like, it is really wild. You do see it again, like, I don't know. Well, we'll see. And it's like, girl, I don't know. Like, at first I thought this was really highly offensive of Sutton to say this to Kyle, but then it's like, she does have a point. And then you realize how much Kyle has lived her life in this kind of ignorant way, in a sense, because I think Kyle has had so much hurt in her life, so much stuff with her mom and her sisters and all this stuff, that she's kind of like, just going to live in the clouds. It's all good here. Everything's working out. Sutton in a talking head says, well, Kyle needs to get a grip and go talk to an attorney. I say, quickly, run, don't walk. Come on, get your move on. Be power jogger in a mall like an older lady, I say. And Kyle's like, I don't know. This is a torture conversation. It's almost like I'm on a reality TV show. I thought we were going to talk about crumpets. Sutton in a talking head, so Sutton tells Kyle, well, it's a torture conversation, but I'm trying to give you tough love, Kyle. I just want you to be smart, I say. And Kyle just stares at Sutton. And Kyle's subtext of like, you're a fucking idiot. What the fuck do you know? New scene, and we're at Bozma's house in Hancock Park. And Bose is in her refrigerator, and she's like, woo, this fridge is full. Lord help us. Where's my gold dust? You can't have a fruit platter without gold. And she takes a container of edible. This is how rich this lady is. She's sprinkling edible gold. What's that? It's edible diamonds? Edible oil? Edible, just financially very rich. Gold flakes on your fruit. It does kind of look gross though. Bo is talking to her assistant, goes, "Hold on. Do you think my new friends who I met at the party, Dorit and Erica, do you think they like gold as much as I like gold?" Well, I mean, Erica likes gold. It's never her own, but you know what I'm saying. Nico, sitting at the kitchen island with his computer's like, "I think they like gold. How do you feel about them? Do you like them?" And she's still sprinkling the gold. She's like, "Yeah, I thought they were very nice." And Nico's like, "First impressions can be deceiving." And Bose is like, "And I'm not one to be deceived." So another scene to be like, "I'm a power broker." Still sprinkling the gold powder. Now, the car is arriving and it holds Dorit and Erica. A lot of Dorit Erica scenes so far this season. Erica's in the car going,
Well, I'm excited to see Bose's house. For once, I have a neighbor.
Sure, you're on even footing, Erica. Dorit's like, "Erica, me and Bose, we hit it off. Her and I just ended sharing such intimate details inside of 30 minutes of getting introduced." And Erica's like,
That's really nice.
and Dorit's like, "She's just really fun." But by the way, Dorit started sharing intimate details, but the intimate details were like, "My husband's an alcoholic, a huge drunk, just literally a belly full of booze, Bozma. Bozma booze, full of boozed, PK. Just a big old red-nosed drunk. Ha ha." That's what she was like sharing immediately. But I love that Dorit's like, "We grew very close." Yes. They arrive go up to the door of Bose's, and Bose opens it. It's like, "Ah." And Bose is like, "You look so cute." You know, like, "You look cute. You look beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Take off your shoes, please. Do you mind?" And Bose is like, "I'm barefoot. We might as well." Dorit in the talking head goes, "Well, if I knew off the Chanel mules, I have Chanel, you guys, swear, they're real. I may not have worn them because they really are part of the outfit, but for Bose, I'll make an exception. Fuck Kyle Richards." Bose says, "Okay, so we're going to go outside." That is weird. Now you're going to not wear the shoes outside? Anyways, Erica's like,
I love all the textures in this house.
kind of like,
My house only has one texture. Sadness.
Bose goes, "There's a big mirror. It's got rhinestones, some gold." And Erica's like,
That's so pretty. I stole one just like it from my ex's mansion.
and Eric and Dorit slip on some furry slides, waiting for them to go outside. Okay, so we got a solution. Dorit seeing the backyard seating area, pools, fountains, the jungly landscape, and Dorit's like, "Oh my goodness, this is an oasis." And Eric's like,
This is beautiful. Kind of like my pool house.
and Bose is like, "I'm so happy that you came over. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation." And Eric's like,
Thank you for having us, Bose.
they all clink glasses with some champagne, and Erica's like,
So what'd you think about everybody? Let's get down to business, Bose.
and Bose goes, "Okay, let's get down to business. Girl, look, before the party, I had Sutton over." And they flash back to 1 week earlier at Bose's Malibu house. This girl's got dose houses. And Bose is telling Sutton, "Well, tell me about who's coming." And Sutton's like, "Well, everybody in our group is coming. Our little gang. Kyle and Dorit they've been in a little bit of a beef right now. I say, it might be a little awkward." And Bose is like, "Ooh." Now, back in this scene, Bose tells Dorit, "But at least from that little bit I learned, I was like, And Dorit goes, "I know the stuff going on between her and I is also so layered, like a French onion dip. Basically, Kyle isolated me for months and months and months." I like that now Kyle is being positioned as like a Keith Raniere, like a cult leader. "She's isolated me. She's made me go crazy. She branded me." Bose is like, "Well, what is she mad at you for, Dorit? What do you mean?" And Dorit chugs, "Well, I'm getting different answers." Dorit in a talking head goes, "Kyle keeps changing her mind. What she's mad at me about." Flashback to the reunion where we hear Kyle's grievance number one is, first of all, being asked about my marriage on camera when we are good friends. Kyle's grievance 2 says, "When you said, 'I just think Kathy wants some support,' to me, it feels like you wanted to be on the side of whatever the audience thinks and agrees with." So those are 2 of Kyle's grievances. Dorit in a talking head goes, "Now she's bringing up BravoCon when I joked about who's my favorite sister." And then we flash back to Sutton's surrealism party. We don't need to flash back in the same fucking episode of what we just saw 15 minutes ago. But Kyle's grievance 3 is when we're at BravoCon and we were up there as besties and we just saw this fucking scene. Dorit continues in a talking head, it just feels like she's grasping at straws. Hoo-hoo. Bo says, well, but what happens now though, Dorit? Because at the party when I saw what I saw, she stomped off. And Dorit goes, well, I think she came into that conversation thinking I can do what I always do with Dorit, which is make her feel bad for me, and then she'll get over it. I'm not doing that anymore. But it also makes you think, has Dorit been, it's almost like AI becoming aware. Has Dorit been aware this whole time? Has Dorit been aware Kyle has treated her like this since day one, but has allowed it because she wanted to be in Kyle's good graces? And has Dorit always been this cognizant? And if she has, how fascinating. It truly is like, damn, Dorit's working on a couple of different levels that we have never possibly given her credit for. And I think some of that can be used for bad. We're back at Godfrey's now with Sutton and Kyle all of a sudden. And Sutton's like, well, now let's talk about Dorit, Kyle, because I want to know what happened at that party. And Kyle's like, well, I went into this thinking I'm going to stay calm. I want to get my points across and be able to get to the other side of this. And Sutton's like, right. And Kyle's like, she did not come in like that. And kind of like, oh no, I'm the victim. At Sutton's party 2 days earlier, we hear Dorit say, we're going to have to start being very honest, Kyle. So go on, tell me. I like Dorit's like, come at me, charge me, Kyle, hit me, slap me in the face. And Kyle's like, you are literally not acting like yourself right now. I don't know what's going on with you. And Dorit's like, because I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore, Kyle. I'm not. I'm using curse words. I'm using dirty language. C-U-N-T. You know what that spells, Kyle? Your downfall. Kyle, in this scene with Sutton, says, I pulled away from Dorit in reacting to the things she has been doing. And I was like, hello, you haven't been a good friend to me. And Sutton's like, well, do you miss her? Do you miss her, Kyle? Do you ever miss Dorit? Do you ever stop and say, I miss Dorit. I miss the way we laughed. I miss the way she caressed my hair. I miss Dorit. I missed all the funny outfits Dorit would wear. I would miss her going on monologues where I'd trail off and think about what I need to get from Trader Joe's. I say, you know, do you miss her, Kyle? And Kyle's like, right now, I feel too angry for that because the girl sitting across from me that night, she wasn't nice, Sutton. Kyle in a talking head says, I think right now I'm dealing with having a lack of trust for Dorit and the fact that she lacks accountability or self-awareness. She seems to be completely oblivious to anyone else's feelings but her own. I mean, it is weird because I understand why Kyle thinks that, but sadly, it's like, girl, look in the room. Is the person who lacks accountability in the room with us right now? Is it the person doing the talking head potentially? Could both of them be lacking some sort of awareness and accountability? And this is what I feel bad for Kyle, because it's like the little kid. I'm going to spoil a movie for you that's like 30 years old. The Sixth Sense, I see dead people. All of a sudden, Bruce Willis realizes he's been dead the entire movie at the end of that movie. Is at the end of this season, Kyle going to realize like, oh my God, I've been lacking accountability this whole time. It's been me all along. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Kyle tells Dorit, you don't get to say how hurt you were, and that you felt pushed away when, you made that bed and now you gotta lie in it. And Sutton's like, whoa, okay, oh my goodness, I pushed a pressure point there with Kyle Richards. So we're back over at Bose's, and Dorit is like, I feel like over the last few years, there's always been this two sets of rules. A set of rules for you, Kyle, and a set of rules for everyone else. Or a set of rules for you and a set of rules for me. And Erica's like,
quite honestly, I see where both of them are coming from. I see both sides. They both have been going through really hard stuff at home.
And Bose just keeps going, yeah. Yes, yeah, like just, okay, yeah. And Erica, once again, being in this position of like, I'm here for a free glass of wine. And she is like the person of like, I see both sides. What a weird place to be. Erica in a talking head goes,
Kyle and Dorit are both going through separations, and they are at each other's throats, while PK and Mo are out having the best time of their lives. We're here fighting in Encino. Like, how does this happen?
Erica making a great point. Great talking head. They're not even in fucking Beverly Hills. They're in Encino, which should be like the first rule of thumb on these shows. Stop lying to us. It's Real Housewives of the Valley or something. Sorry, Erica to Dorit is like,
which leads me to ask, Dorit, how is it going? What's going on with you and your husband?
and Dorit's like, fuck Kyle Richards. And she's like, listen, you guys, you know, it's been a few very tumultuous years. And Bose is like, how are you with the kids right now? And Dorit's like, they think daddy's working. He's staying at a hotel. Whoa. Okay. And Bose is like, oof, that's hard too, though. You got to keep up that sort of pretense. Oh, I know. They're dummies. No, I know. But you know what? Because in the last few years, PK, when he was drinking, did I mention he's a full-blown alcoholic? We'd get into a fight, he'd take off, and he'd be gone for weeks. And Bose gasps. I even gasped, because this is the thing, too. And once again, I'm going to bring up the Mary Cosby scene in Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with her son. Like, that was very open and honest. Like, fully honest. Even if the audience wasn't prepared, it's honest. And this just goes to show you, you're asking Kyle to be honest, but also Dorit hasn't been fully honest with the audience. Like, we knew the putsta and the break-in and this and that, but they were like, PK was just leaving for weeks at a time. He wasn't fucking there. Like, this is why it's also, Dorit seems more upset about Kyle, because that's more fresh, because the PK stuff's been going on for years. It just hasn't been a storyline in the way that it actually has been in her life. So we're catching up to this fact that she's kind of used to. Dorit goes, so I've been telling this to the kids. That's what they're used to be honest. Their lives are not disrupted that much. Even Erica looks surprised. But it's just wild, because these kids are going to grow up and they're going to have access to Peacock unless they don't want to pay for it to watch these reruns. Erica in a talking head goes,
I'm sorry Dorit had to suffer like that in silence. That's hard. But then again, I understand not telling anyone anything like that. What are you going to say? Oh, hey, I've told you guys everything is great, when in fact, he's not here.
But they all kind of knew it, though. They just weren't talking about it on camera. Bo says, wait, so you're waiting to see what happens in your marriage and then tell them? Yes! Well, is there a chance there's a reconciliation? And Dorit pauses. There's always a possibility. But I'd rather focus on Kyle, that bitch. Next, we swing over to Bel Air to Sutton's house. And Sutton's like, well, Avi, what are you doing? And Avi, Sutton's like, chief of staff's like, he's holding 4 containers of something. And he's like, well, I'm defrosting the sauce because it was frozen. And Sutton's like, put it in the refrigerator, Avi, come on. And Avi takes him out of the microwave. He's like, no. And Sutton's like, well, but now it's hot, and it's hot. And Avi's like, it's not hot. And Sutton's like, well, what does the directions say, Avi? It says, keep frozen. Sutton in a talking head goes, well, although Kyle and I have had our ups and downs over the years, I know that she needs me as a friend right now. She needs old Sutton. Having been through my own separation and then divorce, it feels really lonely. So I want to be there for her, I say. Sutton, a day earlier, is on the phone with Kathy Hilton while she's sitting in her home sauna in her backyard doing what Kathy does, whatever keeps it going. And Sutton's like, well, I thought it might be fun we did a little Kathy Hilton style surprise. Maybe Erica could come, just have some real girl time. Not that Morgan Wade kind of girl time, but just friend girl time. And Kathy's like, we'll do pizza and PJs. And Sutton's like, I love pizza and BJs. And Kathy's like, no, I said PJs. Well, what? You said PJs? Well, what about BJs? Well, can we love them both? Avi's like, all right, Sutton, here you go. Kalamata olives, baby arugula. And Sutton's like, and I got Erica pepperoni. Some people like pepperoni. I like that Sutton's like, Erica seems like a pepperoni gal. A nice big old salami and some pepperoni for Erica Jane. Erica's car pulls up at Sutton's and Erica gets out in slow-mo. You don't do a getting out of the car scene in Beverly Hills without slow-mo. And she's wearing a kitty sweater and some jeans. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in that last scene, Dorit, I like her. She has like a dark brown hair coloring right now, which I kind of like it. And in Erica Jane's talking head, she has like her hair, but then it's like pink at the end. Like it's nice. I like it. Good job, Mikey Minden. Erica knocks on the door with a deep voice and goes,
Hello, how are you?
and Sutton's like, well, I'm so glad you're in jeans. Kathy Hilton arrives, rings the doorbell, and walks in. Hello! And Sutton's like, hey, lady. And Kathy's in the kitchen. What are these? What are these, Sutton? And Sutton's like, well, these are pizza kits, Kathy Hilton. I thought it would be a nice gesture after I talked to Kyle. I say, she seemed a little down. You know, there was a story. She told me about a picture. And Erica's like,
a picture of what?
And Sutton goes, Mauricio, a picture he replaced, a picture of the two of them. And they show us a black and white headshot of Kyle with Mauricio kissing her cheek that was in Mauricio's office, right? And Sutton's like, you know, it was a picture of him. He exchanged it with a picture of him with that woman from Dancing with the Stars, that little trollop. And Erica's like,
where? What are you talking about?
And Sutton's like, well, in the office, in their house. And Erica's like,
what?
And Kathy's like, are you serious? I thought that was Kyle. And Sutton's like, uh-huh. But by the way, it might not just be because it was like, maybe he's really proud of his dancing on Dancing with the Stars and wanted to put a photograph up to remind him of all the cool dancing. I don't know. Sutton in a talking head goes, well, I mean, at this point for me, I'm like, bye-bye, Mauricio. Bye-bye-bye. But I don't think Kyle did that. I think she just kind of was hurt and still hopeful. You know, hurt and hopeful. The Kyle Richards story, I say. Yeah, that's got to fuck with Kyle a bit, right? But I think Kyle had her own little dalliance as well. And I think maybe she thought that Mauricio would always be there to... I don't know, man. This is what kills us is that then the audience speculates instead of actually having the truth. And hopefully Tariq can browbeat Kyle enough into actually telling us the real truth. But it does seem like Mauricio, and this is also just pure speculation, seems like he's, you know, I think he's kind of in the space of he'd rather work and potentially be a man about town, you know? But it's got to really fuck with Kyle, probably, right? So there's got to be some grace given, as we always like to say in Housewives. Erica says,
well, that isn't right.
And Kathy goes, it would be one thing taking it down, the picture, but then to put it up, come on, Mauricio. Eric in a talking head goes,
why are you replacing a picture of your wife with your Dancing with the Stars partner? All that's going to do is make people talk more. That doesn't help. It actually hurts. And then again, Tom Girardi had a picture of who he was fucking underneath his desk. And there she was. So who am I to judge, you know? Happened to me.
So wait, Tom Girardi kept it under his desk? There was one time I was with John Wayne. Anyways, here's a picture under my desk of who I'm fucking right now. She dramatically sucks Coke from a can out of her straw. Erica loves a good talking head with a prop moment. Remember, like, sipping on the champagne from, like, 5 seasons ago? And Sutton goes, well, we should probably get on our merry way to Kyle's. And Erica's like,
let's hit it.
We see Kyle's house where all the lights are on, all 3 floors, inside and out. And we find Kyle in her sweats and sitting on her massive bed, all alone, and her phone rings. And she's like, hi, Fifi, what are you doing? And it's her daughter, Sophia. And Sophia's like, well, I'm on my way to dinner with my friends, and then I'm going to go see a movie. I pick. And Kyle's like, oh, so you won't be home for dinner? And she's like, no, not tonight. Kyle in a talking head goes, I'm still adjusting to having a lot quieter of a home. She does have like 7 dogs. I'm still not used to that. I just get maybe scared. Like, what if it's always like this? I mean, it is hard, right? Those moments... There's freedom in that, but yeah, it is a lot quieter, and your thoughts are darker, and it's part of the process. Like I do feel for her, you know. And I can't say Morgan's name anymore on this show. That's right, Kyle. You can't say my name, Morgan Wade. Anyway, Sophia's like, I'll be home after the movie. Okay, I love you, bye. In the car, Sutton, Kathy, and Erica are on their way over to Kyle's, and Erica's like,
now, how are we going to get through this security gate without scaring her?
This would be a great setup for a Scream movie. Kyle, do you like scary movies? It's Lisa Rinna, Kyle. Let me in. Kathy just says, well, I'm going to say I've got a delivery here from, you can't hear her. And Erica's like,
say Amazon. She has so much stuff from Amazon.
When Kyle gets lonely at night, she just orders on Amazon like we all do. And Sutton goes, well, are you going to be able to disguise your voice, Kathy? And Kathy's like, yeah. And Sutton's like, okay, let me hear you practice. Go, Kathy. It's gotta come from the heart. You gotta do this imitation from the heart. And Erica's like,
get into character, Kathy.
And Sutton closes her eyes to listen like they're recording like a hit song or something. And Kathy goes, I got to think about my outfit, being in the brown truck. No, that's UPS. This is ridiculous. I got to think about those poor UPS drivers. I got to think about my take-home pay. I'm pulling in $35K a year, very limited medical benefits. I've got to really get in the headspace here. But Erica's like,
Whatever, Kathy.
and Kathy's like, Amazon. And Sutton's like, what's your name? And Kathy goes, ma'am. And Erica's laughing.
We're done. She's not going to open the door. We're done.
Kathy in a weird voice goes, I've got a delivery from Amazon. And Sutton in a talking head goes, well, I don't know if Kathy went to acting school. I say. Eric in a talking head goes,
You know, it was kind of like Darth Vader a bit.
Amazon? Kathy in the car with the growling voice goes, Amazon? The car pulls up to Kyle's gate and Sutton and Erica are both, just say Amazon. In Kyle's kitchen, she and Portia are getting dinner. Portia's cutting a cucumber. So she wasn't alone. Portia's fucking there. What are you sorry that Sophia was? Portia's there cutting a cucumber. Anyways, Portia's like, sometimes I think cucumbers get slimy. Why is that? And Kyle's like, because they've been in there too long. And Portia's like, but why slimy? I don't know. I try not to think about it. Just cut the fucking cucumber. The ladies are in the car waiting at the gate, and Sutton's like, come on, prepare, everybody. Prepare, ladies. Kathy's getting ready to get out of the car to approach the speaker, and she's like, should I just say Amazon? Inside the house, Kyle's waving the oven mitt around in the air. I'm afraid the alarm is going to go off. She's just afraid of everything. The girl lifts 80-pound weights in her fucking living room office, and she's scared of a smoke alarm. Portia's like, open the door. It's so smoky in here. I know. I don't know, you guys. Anyways, the gate phone rings. We see Kathy standing there with a box in her hands. I bet Kathy is strapped too. You know Kathy probably does carry around a fully loaded pistol at all times. Well, I thought that's why I have a license. Well, Rick has a license, but I'm using Rick's iPad. I'm using his gun license, you guys. Sorry, I'm joking. Sorry, I just started choking on my own nasal drainage because this is so batshit crazy, but at the same time, I'm completely here for it. I found this to be hysterical. I want dinner theater with Kathy Hilton Sutton and Erica Jane.
Bet it all on blood. The play. I say. Yeah. Kathy Hilton Sutton and me.
Anyways, this is a comedy of errors, and we hear Kyle hear the gate phone out front, but also this is they know they're filming. The cameras know who's this is kind of real, but kind of if you think about the logistics of it, what is Kyle? I don't know. This feels like is this a prank on Kyle even from production? Anyways, Kyle hears the gate phone and she's like, "Oh, please don't be a delivery. I don't want the gate to ring. Oh my God, all my Amazon knickknacks are not gonna, Anyways, Portia is shaking some spice into the salad bowl. And probably some ayahuasca or something, and the lid comes and the bowl totally empties into the bowl, and she stops, looks at it slowly, and puts the spice bottle down because the lid kind of, the bottle totally emptied into the bowl. Too much spice, you're killing me. Just a comedy of errors. Kyle answers the gate phone, hello? And then Kathy in a deep, funky voice, Amazon delivery. She should have done her old friend Michael Jackson. Hoo-hoo, it's MJ. Hee-hee, it's Amazon. Kathy, it's me, Diana Jenkins. It's Lisa Arena. Kyle's like, what kind of delivery is it? And then Deep Throat Kathy, which is what we used to call her in high school, hey-o, says, Amazon. And Kyle's like, Amazon, okay, give me 1 minute, please. I've got to put my dogs away, sorry. Kathy gets back into the car with the box. Kyle's counting the dogs. Okay, there's Luna, there's River. Oh, fuck, Romeo. Romeo's ran out, and Kyle runs out the front door after her dog down the driveway. Thank God. I just got so scared that this prank was going to go wrong and Romeo was going to get hurt. Anyways, the women are waiting. Kathy's like, should I hit the button again? And Sutton's like, no, don't hit it again. And Kathy goes, I really have to tinkle. My pelvic floor is taking a beating lately. And Sutton's laughing. Oh, Kathy, you just too much, Kathy Hilton. Meanwhile, Kyle's chasing Romeo back into the house, through the backyard, and goes, wait, what about the Amazon guy? Now Portia's running. Wait, I don't have shoes on. And Kyle's like, can you call Jesse and have her get the Amazon guy at the gate? Who the fuck is Jesse? Is Jesse a guy that lives at the front door, like the front gate? What the fuck? Suddenly, the gate begins to open, and the three ladies in the car duck down, and Erica's like,
Get down low, like me trying to get a new rich man. Get low, I get low, I get low, shaking my boot now.
and Kyle's like, I'm sure Amazon's leaving. There's no way. Where's my phone? The ladies have pulled up and are out of the car now, and they're ducking down at the front door while Kathy rings the front doorbell twice. Come on. Do we believe this? Portia goes, did someone just knock on the door? There's someone knocking, but I don't see anyone. I'm confused. They open the front door, and the ladies pop up and start laughing. Kyle's very surprised. What are you doing? What's all this stuff? This isn't my Amazon. God damn it. And Portia, with a full plate of spiced food, says, okay, Mama, I'm going to go upstairs. Kyle's like, okay, bye. I love you. How big is this house? Like, I'm going to go upstairs. I'll see you next month. Like, how big is this house? Kathy goes, oh, yeah, you guys. I have pajamas here for you. And Son's like, well, let's put on our pajamas. Let's be ladies who pajama, yeah. And they put on their PJ robes and they start making pizzas. It's like we're in Italy. We're big old Italian pizza makers, I say. Look at us cooking. And Kathy goes, wait a minute, you don't have any gloves on. And then more commotion ensues and they're all laughing and flour puffs. And it's crazy, you guys. It's so crazy. And they're just baking pizza in their jammies. Oh my God, it takes me back. And then they take their food, the pizza's made, and they go sit down in the family room to eat. And Kathy goes, where's Garcelle? I thought you were Garcelle, Kyle. Oh! And Son's like, well, Garcelle's in Atlanta, in the ATL, in the Peach, Georgia Peach. She's shooting 2 movies, I say. Yeah, we haven't had Garcelle in this episode. I just realized we haven't had Garcelle. We flash back to Sutton talking to Garcelle on the phone a day earlier while she's sitting in her backyard sauna. Well, you know me. Sutton, I got a backyard sauna where I like to heat my lady parts. I say. And Garcelle's talking to Sutton going, Black Girl Missing, the second installment. It has been really good, Sutton. It's completely different. And Sutton's like, well, you already lost one black girl in your family. What kind of mother are you? Damn, Sutton. And Garcelle's like, girl, I swear to God, you're going to be missing soon. God, the case of the missing Sutton Strack? Are you kidding me? How amazing would that be? Kathy goes, well, Garcelle's busy. And Sutton's like, I know she's busy, but she's coming home this week, I say. And Kyle's like, I can't believe you guys did this. Thank you. I was all alone. And Sutton's like, well, we're here for you, and we want you to know that. Mauricio has moved out, and that's a lot on you. I almost was waiting for Sutton to go moved out and moved on, but thankfully she just said moved out. And Kyle goes, I know. The other day I was looking through my wedding photos. We were so young. And Sutton's like, you were 23. 2-3, the big 2-3. And they flash a photo of their wedding day from 1996. It is wild to see younger photos of anybody, right? But especially Kyle, because you know, Kyle's been on TV so long that all of the adjustments Kyle's done to her face, I think she's a very obviously beautiful woman, but it is interesting. You're like, oh, wow, she has had a lot of work done. But I don't know. I think it's like when you're on TV this long, you know, the audience is just you just kind of accept it. And then you're like, oh, and then you see an old photo and you're like, God, Kyle looks really different, right? Kyle goes, I was looking at the pictures and then I started crying. And Son's like, well, that's okay. And Kathy goes, you know, Kyle, you look like you could be his daughter. He is aged. Ooh, some Mauricio shade. And Kyle goes, he looks good. And Kathy goes, wait. And she puts both arms up and down like she's lifting weights. And Kyle's like, don't be mean, Kathy. And Erica's like,
wait, what does that mean?
Kyle in a talking head goes, I think my sister's referencing Mao's Instagram stories where he's in the gym and I just don't like it. And they show us a couple thirst traps that Mauricio took of himself in the home gym, where I'm shocked he could get some time in there because Kyle's always in that home gym. The home gym's weird because it also looks like their office library. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like you're like, is that good for the wood in there? All the sweat? All the Kyle and Mo sweat? But he's just at home gym working out with nothing on but short shorts and a backwards baseball cap. Oh my God, my worst nightmare would be to take a photo of me with my shirt off. Are you fucking kidding me? No, thank you. Kyle says, I don't want to do that. It doesn't make me feel good. And Kathy goes, well, I thought it would. I kind of making fun of Mauricio, right? And that's good. That's a good thing is, you know, get friends together, family, and make fun of, you know, your respective exes, right? It happens. Kathy in a talking head, and she's wearing this very fancy, huge diamond necklace, Kathy. And Kathy's like, over the years, we've had our ups and downs with Mo. I heard he was talking a lot about Hilton and Highland and Rick on this show. On his show, remember, Mauricio left Rick's Hilton and Highland business and started this. They talked a little bit about it on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills when it happened, but on Buying Beverly Hills, it was talked about as well. And even Paris Hilton was like, fuck you, don't talk about my family. Headline from Reality Blurb says, Paris Hilton slams Mauricio Umansky saying family is sick of him and blasts him for using Hilton name to promote lame show after he discussed feud with Rick Hilton in Buying Beverly Hills preview. Now, Buying Beverly Hills was not picked up for a third season, which is so wild because I thought the second season was pretty decent, at least in the private moments with the Umansky Kyle family. Really, better realism in that than there was on Beverly Hills last season in regards to it. But I did read an article where Netflix is going more away from their reality television programming. Recently, they've decided that, so I don't know if that was part of that plan, but I thought it would get a third season. So Kathy continues in a talking head, says, we don't discuss him. I would say the only advice I could give would be move on and put down the weights, pony boy. Sutton goes, well, I think it's going forward. You might need a poker face, or as Lady Gaga says, a poker face. I mean, at least for me, I had a husband who was really, really, really powerful, I say, and I was like a deer in headlights. And she looks to Erica, Sutton looks at Erica and goes, well, you probably understand this as well, Erica, with your Tom Girardi situation. And Erica goes,
If I did anything, it was trust too much. Just prepare, that's all.
I mean, it kind of is an interesting conversation, right? Because Erica's been there, and Erica's issues, went nuclear because it got legal. And I don't mean just between them. I mean with the literal state of fucking California. They're having to change like the bar association laws because Tom broke so many of them. Just real nasty stuff. So Kathy goes, well, just be sure, Kyle, you're protected because you obviously brought a lot to the table. Look at you. You're gorgeous. And Kyle goes, we only have the utmost respect for each other, even through this process. He sent me flowers on Mother's Day. Ooh. And Son's like, well, I used to get flowers for a long time. I haven't got flowers in years now. I got nothing, like not even a text this year. Yeah, because he gives you what, like $350,000 a month or something insane like that? Maybe you can take the flower money out of that money. Who knows? But yeah, you probably don't get anything. And Erica's like,
you got that monthly payment. Relax.
It really is kind of the First Wives Club here. Now, it's kind of funny of like, Erica, keeps scoring all this shit. Well, at least you could take care of monthly. I have to go court weekly for this shit. Like, she did not get the golden parachute from Tom Girardi at all, like Sutton did. We have a headline from Radar Magazine going, exposed. Sutton Strack awarded $350,000 per month in support from ex-husband. Left marriage with Andy Warhol prints and couture collection. Erica goes,
we're not worrying about you. You got that.
And Sutton goes, well, that means nothing. That's just bullshit money. And Erica's like,
it means something. As somebody who got nothing, you at least walked out with something.
And Sutton's like, well, what you gonna do? Oh, man, it must chap Erica's hide every day of her life. Man, she thought that was her future. And I don't mean him as a husband. I mean his money at the time. Kyle in a talking head says, so many people are just used to seeing and hearing about nasty divorces, fighting over custody and money. It's just the norm. I don't think our marriage was maybe the norm. I don't think our family and what we have and what we built is necessarily the norm. Maybe that's pompous of me. I don't know. I feel like maybe we are a little different. I don't know. Kyle to Kathy says, I'm going to clear this because this is bad for me to look at this. And she begins clearing the foods and plates. Like, I don't like to look at leftover pizza. It gives me a gluten allergy. The ladies say goodbye and gather the things. Kyle walks Sutton out, and Sutton walks by the office and goes, does that feel weird, Kyle? That the desk, Mauricio's desk right there where he did a lot of his work? And Kyle's like, yeah, it feels weird that my picture was taken down. And Sutton's like, well, then there's that too. All right. Well, on that note, good night, sweet dreams. I love that. Like, let me just bring up something bad. Well, on that note, howdy doody, see you later. And Kyle's like, good night, love you. Kyle closes the door to Mo's office. And a song plays, I would never do that to you. I would never make you cry like that. Maybe I can see right through you. I wouldn't do that. It feels like Meatloaf should sing that song. The next day, we have a green Bentley driving up to Olivetta's restaurant valet, and PK gets out. I went here for my birthday one time. One of the ladies of London owns this restaurant. It's a really cute restaurant. I was there with my mom and dad, actually. It was very beautiful. It's a PK and Dorit scene. This is our final scene of the episode, and PK's like, table for two for me, PK. PK Kemsley, matter about town. I'm not. And he gets seated, and then a black Escalade drop. This is how separated they are. They don't even come in the same car. Like they're like, we got a Bentley and Escalade. I mean, it's just a mess. Drops off Dorit. She walks in, of course, in slow-mo. We cannot do any scene without slow-mo when we exit cars or enter buildings on this show. This show, by the way, is 43 minutes, but if you take out the slow-mo, it's 35 minutes. Dorit in a talking head goes, PK and I announced our separation publicly a few days ago, and I haven't seen him since. He went straight into a hotel, and luckily, we're still communicating. God, I'm such a cheapskate that, like, I'm just thinking, like, it's not a Days Inn, it's not a holiday, and this guy is probably paying thousands of dollars a night. He's probably in that fucking Pretty Woman hotel that he did that little bit last season with. Ladies and gentlemen, Berlin, take my breath away. I get a free week here if I bring Berlin in to perform on a weekly basis. Maybe Boy George can come in and sing Karma Chameleon once a week for a free room for PK. Dude, when I saw that Bentley, this dude's filed for multiple bankruptcies in his life, allegedly. And I just feel like, yeah, dude, he's got a lot of overhead. I mean, a lot. Anyways, PK to the server. And by the way, the server in this scene, the server is serving. Whoever this dashing young gentleman is a star. Like multiple times, this guy's like leaning. This guy, I mean, he's like, what's going on? He's like, this is how were you discovered? Well, a real scene in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I was like, holy shit, 3-picture deal for this gentleman. PK to the server's like, have you got a non-alcoholic beer? I'm a full-blown alcoholic. And can I have some bread while I'm waiting? And some shoestring fries? I like that it's not just one carb. I'd like multiple carbs at the table. I'm PK. Dorit continues in a talking head. There's a lot of things we need to discuss. So I thought it was best for us to have dinner, have a nice meal, relax, and kind of start figuring out together how we navigate this new situation. And PK's like, oh, hi, babe. Hey, he gets up and gives Dorit a kiss. He does look kind of slick. When we first saw PK, he was, a lot rough around the edges, but he's, you can tell he's kind of feeling himself. I'm dapper. I use hair gel now. Yeah, I've got a face routine. I put moisturizer on. Yeah. And Dorit's like, how are you doing, PK? He goes, I'm all right. You? Yeah. And the server brings a foot-tall basket of fries to the table. This server, man, I love this. PK's like, I'd like to order the Wagyu beef tartare and oysters. And Dorit's like, I'll have a chopped kale salad. This server is serving. And Dorit goes, PK, are you all right with me having a drink, right? Okay, please. And in this, you got to watch Dorit's hand motions when she orders her drinks. She's like, I feel like this is code. I don't know if this was like Morse code for help me, but like her hand gestures, she's like slaps her hand, the palm of her hand 3 times. And I was like, is Dorit giving us a message at home? Drink your Ovaltine. So she's asking her husband, the full-blown alcoholic, that she tells everybody that he is. And she's like, can I have a Belvedere Club soda around you? He's like, of course. I'm strong. She's like, I'll have a Belvedere Club soda. Pause. 3 lemons squeezed in. Pause. Caucus out. And then there's a pause because I feel like she's waiting for the applause because that's like, that's like Dorit's thing. Caucus out. Seacrest out. PK's like, pass the ketchup. How do you like this new jacket? I hope I don't get ketchup all over it. And Dorit's like, oh, you bought a whole new load of clothes. And PK's like, yeah, I've been on TikTok shop. Old Navy had an amazing deal. No, he stands in front of the booth to show her. And PK goes, single PK. And I'm like, how fucking weird to say to your newly, like, this is why it's not new, you guys. It's not newly separated. It's just that they told us. Sorry, I have to blow my nose. 1 second, you guys. Okay, sorry. Talking about PK really gets the sinuses just acting up. Anyways, PK's like, single PK, look at this. I got tight leather pants on where you can see my willy. My nutsack. I've got a bigger nutsack than Travis, Gina's boyfriend from the OC. When they see me coming, it's big ball PK. And Dorit looks and goes, oh. What? PK a weirdo, man. Dorit in a talking head goes, I don't know if PK realizes that saying single PK is as hurtful as it is. I mean, truly, this dude is... I don't know. I thought a little differently. Like, I didn't like PK at first, and then there was a time where I did like PK, and this just goes to show you it changes all the time, because now I don't think I like PK anymore. You know, like single PK, all the single PKs, all the single, put your hands up. All the single PKs, all the single PKs. PK goes, look at me. I'm sitting here eating. I'm kind of skinny here at the moment, as he's shoving down truffle fries. And Dorit goes, none of you keep eating like this, which is also just another example of why their relationship probably doesn't work. No, none of you keep eating like a fat pig, you bloated alcoholic. Dorit continues in a talking head, and I don't really know how he goes from married and committed to separated and single PK in 24 to 48 hours. It feels like, whoa. And Dorit asks PK, how do you feel tonight? And he goes, I'm edgy, as he's slurping down oysters. Are you? He goes, yeah, I feel edgy. You know, I didn't know how bad I had this disease. Drinking is just a symptom, not a cause. But you know, I'm very clear now why we made our decision. When somebody says they're very clear, it means that they've joined a cult. I'm very clear now why we've made our decision, why we've done what we've done. I really am clear on it. Let me explain it to you this way. You're my best friend and you're my wife, and we don't speak to each other too nicely. If the server came over, by the way, the server's like, hello, you called? If the server came over and we spoke to the server how we speak to each other, we'd be thrown out of the restaurant. You know, of late, it's like we don't like each other. I don't question the love, but we stopped liking each other. And he says this really unemotionally. And Dorit goes, do you feel like you don't like me? And PK's, when you talk to me in a certain way. And Dorit's like, no, make me feel a certain way. No, not that. No, I don't like you. And Dorit's like, that's not what I asked, PK. Well, there are times when I don't like you. I don't want to ever not like you. And Dorit's like, no, this is something that, again, I just want to understand, PK. Well, I think I made the biggest change you wanted. You wanted your bigger ass was to stop drinking, and I did. And Dorit's like, and you don't think that I made any changes? Look at my hair color, completely different. And PK's like, no, no, I don't think you made any changes to discussions and arguments. No, I think you went low very quickly. I think you knew my touch points, my little bit points, and you had no problem if you were annoyed in going there. And Dorit in the talking head goes, the progression of mine and PK's fighting, and this is where it really became too toxic. It's where we became just screaming at each other, but not using profanity, to cursing at one another, to actually having digs that were below the belt. Oh, I hope you rot in hell. I hope you're alone for the rest of your life. You're going to fall down off your chair drunk because you're nothing but blah, 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 blah. Really ugly and gross things. God, I love that it did progress in the, you're like, I hope you're going to fall down off your chair, you drunk. I love the thought of Dorit going, look at you. And your boosted chair, you're going to fall off with your willy and you're going to hurt it. Dorit goes, PK, when you get into a mood or you're angry, you cannot step out of it, PK. And PK goes, I think we got some deep-rooted resentments that you built up as a result. I used to be your number one. And Dorit's like, this is what I'm trying to get to. And PK's like, and when I want for a marriage is even above the kids is a real marriage. Spouse comes first, right? You were very socially vibrant, busy, always with me. And you're not that anymore. And the reality is you came to me a very, very different girl. It was me that was the global entrepreneur. It was me that built the businesses. It was me that you brought with me. And you made me feel less than. And you made me feel less than so many times. I told you this. I mean, talk about toxic masculinity. Oh my God, is this what the whole thing is? Was that he got bummed that Dorit got some attention because of the show? Could this really be it? And it just leads you to think, like, also, she's a mom now, dude. Like, you had 3 kids with your other wife, and then it's almost like, I don't want to speculate, but you're like, okay, you then get out of that marriage and you're in with this, but then you start having kids and you're not getting the attention that you want. A lot of dudes go do this, but it just seems like we're all such sensitive weirdo dudes that you can't handle this, and you can only imagine that they used to part. And by the way, the way they talk, they do seem like they at a time they were just drunks. They were probably blasting out with. They were probably up for like days at a time just partying. And so all of that, but just this, I just felt it was just such a bad look, right? I appreciate the honesty, but a bad look. Dorit goes, I've never heard of it like you've said it tonight. I've heard it screaming. I've heard it nastily. I've heard it. I'm a man. I've heard angry. I've never heard you say it to me like you make me feel less than, which is the last thing in the world I would want to do for you or I've ever felt about you. And he's like, look, you're my family. You're the mother of my kids. That's already a bad start. Like, look, no matter what happens, you're my family. That's the way it's going to be until I die. It's almost like the subtext, unfortunately. We have to give each other space, of course, but it doesn't mean that if you're in fucking need, then you call me, all right? And vice versa. Like, he's kind of like, hey, you know, take it easy, kid. And Dorit goes, we're talking 5 times a day, PK. And PK goes, I know, but we're not going to. And Dorit's taken aback by this. PK goes, we're not going to talk 5 times a day. We're just not. I don't understand. That codependency is what we have to break. I love it. He's like, I'm single PK now. I got new jeans. Look at me eating oysters like a single man. Yeah. Dorit goes, I want us to both to be and remain committed. I feel like PK is probably not committed already. He goes, I wanted to give you the space to break the codependency. Oh, what a nice gift that PK is giving. Dorit goes, listen to me. I heard that part. And PK goes, all right, let's go. Let's go. What a dinner. What a nice dinner. Dorit in the talking head goes, I guess because we've been talking and things have been so friendly, I thought we could navigate this together. PK gets up from the table. Come on, you got the driver? Yeah. Dorit continues in a talking head. But after hearing PK's frustrations, I don't know where we go next. They leave the restaurant, hug goodbye. Not even like this is like supposedly, this is why it's been done a lot longer than 48 hours. But they just like hug like friends, get into their respective expensive cars and drive off in different directions, which is very sad. Like there wasn't you want to come back to the hotel and get a ride on new single PK's dong? Huh? You want to see me out of these Levi's? It's really weird and sad, but also it kind of colors her relationship with Kyle even more of that anger. Like, Kyle, you can't be there for one of my toughest times in my life, so I can't wait to find out more about all of this shit. Next time on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we see Kathy Hilton in a straw bucket hat holding a carry-on size suitcase telling Dorit, this is for you for our trip. Think of beach, bright, and fun. And Jennifer Tilly's packing, all set for Oceanside. So they're probably going to Garcelle's place at the beach. The women are running races on the beach, having fun. And then Dorit to Kyle goes, I've never shared something that you confided in me. And Kyle goes, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for one reason. Can you let me talk? Kyle being a little snarky there. And Dorit goes, it's okay, Kyle. It's time for you to fucking listen. Oh my God. I love the anger, but can we chill on the language? I have kids at home. My God. No, I don't, but you know what I'm saying? Okay, you guys, we did it. I do not feel great, but I'm going to go have some Thanksgiving dinner. I hope you guys are full and happy and filled with the bright Thanksgiving love that bestows all of us at some point or another. But thank you for being here. I hope this is fun for you to listen to the day after or whenever you're listening. Salt Lake episode will come this weekend, because it was a great episode of Salt Lake. And then also the Patreon's going to have that Vanderpump Rules recap. I love ya. Goodbye. Thank you to Juliana Carrozza for these notes. Thank you to Maritza and Sandra, who I work with. Thank you for being just amazing people. And thank all of you guys. I'm very thankful for you. Happy Thanksgiving.